Welcome everybody to an all-new Downright Sports here on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, Anchor, all the podcasting platforms. Hello everybody, welcome to an all-new Downright Sports. I'm your host, Brent, Reid, the Notorious Sports Critic. There will be energy. Trust and believe there will be energy in today's show. You can now listen to Downright Sports or live365.com/DJ Chase Radio, DJ Chase Radio. You can listen to it there. You can listen to the show every Thursday at 8 o'clock at DynastyRadioNY.com, your number one source for hip hop and R&B, except on Thursdays where sports takes over. And then you can listen to the show Saturday, starting Saturday this week on a new home, a new channel, a new platform, Fab 94.5 The Hits, Fab 94.5 The Hits, or go to www.fab945thehits with a Z.com, and you can listen to Downright Sports starting this Saturday at 8 o'clock a.m. Wake up! And then you can, we wrap it up on all the on the platforms at 3 o'clock Saturday on Trap Radar Radio at FleetRadioNetwork.com. A lot of places to hear this show, a lot of places to hear the Notorious Sports Critic, lot of different platforms. But lot to cover today, and so the show's gonna. I feel like I say this now. This is the second week in a row. No, it's actually the second show in a row. Which let's get back to it. It's March Madness, all right, everybody, and I have created I had to shorten it, so it's technically the Downright Sports Celebrity Brackets, but it's DRS Celebrity Bracket at ESPN Tournament Challenge. You have time, unless you're listening to it on Saturday, then it's probably too late. But I am having wink celebrities. They're actually people I just know, or people who listen to the show. So far, those who signed up for that's not good. People who have signed up, as I was trying to, this is gonna make me log. Oh, I'm about to say no, it ain't gonna make me log in. So we have P. Stu 1987. We have Miss Allie Lane. We have Lollipop. Tim, you're ridiculous. We have K. Jayhawks who are in the tournament, and I would told what everybody's bracket was going to be, but I can't until Thursday when the tournament officially begins. So Thursday, look out, because there will be a quick bracket prediction that I'm going to try to knock out as soon as Thursday morning comes. So actually going to check my work schedule, see how I can do that. All right, so do that. And all right, we got some more stuff we're going to cover and talk about as the show now is starting to sound like I'm just doing NPR. And you want to go to Louis Martha's Bakery where they have lotion. Why do they call it a bakery, Dave? I don't know. Maybe because they are baking lotion. I think that's what NPR sounds like. I listened to like one NPR show once. All right. So this past Sunday, Tom Brady stole the thunder from right underneath the. He just stole all the thunder from March Madness. Okay. So March Madness had happened, and you had a situation where everybody was so happy. We're happy, yay, Selection Sunday. And so if you listen to a lot of sports shows or you listen to a lot of sporting podcasts, I feel like they all start the same. Okay, so my Sunday went as such where I was sitting here and I was doing my bracket research and I was checking out all the different teams and everybody, and I noticed that breaking news. Actually, that's not how I got the breaking news. I got the breaking news from my man at OK Coast is Brad Davison, and he hit me up on Instagram and was like, "So Tom Brady's back," and I was like, "Nah, he's not." And he was like, "Oh no, but he is." And the moment he said that, I had to go to ESPN and I had to change my whole bracket breakdown show because Tom Brady, yes, that Tom Brady returned and came back. And Tom Brady coming back to the NFL is like Thanos returning and saying to the world, "I'm ready to take back what's mine." And you just can't help but sit back and go, "Why?" Well, realistically, I don't know if anyone is really surprised. I don't know if anybody's really shocked. I don't know if anybody's really, really, I think more people are like, "Really, dude? Just go home." Like, Happy Gilmore stuff. That's your home. Go in your home. Look at your home. Answer me. I understand why he came back. I get why he has returned. I understand. I get it. It's Tom freaking Brady, and he identifies more with he identifies more as a football player than anything else. Like, the guy has other criteria. He has other credibility. He has other. He's charismatic. He's smart. He's articulate. But what else is there for Tom Brady to do? Do you really see Tom Brady being a football coach? Do you really see Tom Brady? I can see Tom Brady being a general manager. I can see Tom Brady being a better GM and executive than what's old boy's name? What's his name? John Elway. He may be as good as a guy like John Lynch. You know what I'm saying? Who's out in San Francisco. Like, I can see Tom Brady in that kind of. I can see him doing good in that kind of market, but when it comes to not playing, like Tom Brady not playing is, sacrilegious. What's it mean for the rest of the league? It basically means buckle up because the man is back. The GOAT, as they call him. Last year, Tom Brady led the league in passing. 44 years old, led the league in passing. Let me say this again. There are guys in the league that were in middle school when Tom Brady started playing. There were guys that were not even in elementary school yet when Tom Brady started playing. And Tom Brady is currently was the leading scorer in the NFL. I don't know how they found a way to justify Aaron Rodgers being the MVP when a 44-year-old is killing it. They had a couple, hit and misses here and there. But think about what he did in the last game he played in. He led a game. Scoring drive where they took the lead. They don't lose that game if there's not a blown assignment and they forget Cooper Kupp is an actual great football player. Like, Tom Brady was like, I think that's what happened. He was probably sitting. Here's what happened. I imagine this is what happened. So go with me because I got to give myself the next 5 minutes. All right. Tom Brady was sitting at home, right? And he was flipping through the channels and the NFL Network popped up. And he was like, it's the last game I played in. Hey, kids, come watch this. Hey, my au pair, come watch this. Hey, gardener, come watch this. Guy who takes care of my feet, come watch this. Watch this. Hey, dude that's currently right now building the statue of me and Giselle in our foyer. Come watch this. And they're sitting there watching the game, and the kid tugs on him. Daddy, you look good out there. I know. I'm amazing. And then the florist is like, Tom, I don't get it. Like, why didn't y'all win? And he's like, I know, right? And he's like, Tom, you just murdered him. I know, right? And then he throws the pass that leads to the touchdown. And it's just like, Dad, you supposed to have won that game. And somehow there was a guy in the room that never saw the game and just was like, oh, Tom, that's why you retired, because you went out on top. And he was like, nah, I did it. See, because on defense, a side of the ball I don't control. They blew an assignment. Get an assignment. And then he got up and he walked out to his foyer and he saw that giant statue with him and Giselle, him wearing a pair of Uggs and her wearing like actual like ostrich eggs from Mars. You know what I'm saying? There are ostriches on Mars. And he just, goes out and he's looking, and that statue represents him being done. And he calls his stonesman, he says, "Stop it. No more work on the statue. Enough. I'm going back to play. And when I come back, you can add another ring on the statue. And where you gonna put that ring, Tom? I'll let you know when I get back." And then Tom Brady tweeted and messed up March Madness for everybody. It was like, "I'm coming back." And every reporter, for those of you that don't know, there used to be a time there was a thing called reporters. Not what you see on ESPN, but actual typists and field reporters and guys like this who wrote for the thing called the newspaper. Remember that? They used to have facts, not stuff where people just spew out what they think. Pot called black. But they would just, what? God! It just when Tom Brady announced his retirement, you heard newspapers and lead ones and A blocks all thrown out, and the rest was history. So, welcome back, Tom Brady. And that's the last we're going to talk football until probably August. All right, so I was thinking, if you will, there are two different worlds in our world, on the planet Earth. In reality, if you will, there's our reality where normal folks such as myself and my now beautiful fiance, we all live in this world. We get up in the morning and we go to work and we abide by rules. Then there's the sports world where they just seem to do whatever the frick they want, whether it's an athlete, whether it's an owner, whether it's a commissioner, whoever, they do what they want, how they want. And you're saying to yourself as you're either watching or listening, you're going, "Brent, what in the devil are you talking about?" I'm glad you asked. So there are three things that stood out to me this past week, maybe two mainly, that I just went, the heck is going on with today's athlete? Athletes of the past, and not all of them, but the smart ones kind of were louder than the dumb ones. And I don't want to call anybody dumb, but inconsiderate is probably the better word. And you had athletes like Jackie, like can't think of his name. Lou Brock, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali. The list goes on. I'm sure the list goes on. Arthur Ashe, Billie Jean King, Charles Barkley. The list goes on. You had athletes that were conscious thinkers and thought out everything they said to the point where they realized there were ramifications. I think today's athlete just realized the common person is pretty much dumb and will listen to anything anybody says. But when you have a situation where Kevin Durant, vaccinated, teammate Kyrie Irving, not vaccinated, and his reasons for not being vaccinated has to do with his own science. Let me remind you, Kyrie Irving is not a scientist. If somebody came to you off the street and said, "Hey, through my own science, I came up with a way for you to grow taller," and then you said, "Oh, where'd you study to get your PhD?" And they said, "Oh, I've never studied to get a PhD." And then what you would say, I'll pass. That's what a smart person would do, but no. The rest of us, for some reason, because somebody can dribble, shoot, talk articulate, we just take them on face value. Kevin Durant told the New York City mayor, a city in which COVID ran through it like a hot knife through butter, the man needs to change the vaccination mandate so his one teammate can play. The reason why this is inconsiderate is because there are many people, lots of people, we're talking over thousands in that city alone who have lost relatives due to COVID. Now, there are idiots out there that think COVID is something else, or they died from something else. But never in our history as a country, probably since Christopher Columbus went to the islands, did people just start dying like that. And it was all tied to the same thing. It wasn't like 4 people died and it was like, oh, COVID, it was a pandemic. No, it was enough to shut down the country. Las Vegas, where you could go there and literally probably buy COVID on Freeman Street, shut down. Why do I know that? Email the show and ask Allie why we know that, because we were there. And the fact Kevin Durant, New York City, you could not, I repeat, in New York, of all places, there were nobody on 42nd Street because people were literally dying. I got news for Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and anybody else that can hear my voice that has a problem with what I'm getting ready to say. Basketball is not important. No sport is important enough where you should start changing. Now, yes, if you want to loosen things up, okay, cool with that. That's fine. Things seem like they're getting looser. Kyrie Irving made a conscious decision. Guess what? He don't deserve to play at home. I don't think it's even right he's allowed to play part-time. What message are you sending out? Kyrie Irving was some poop butt that averaged like 10 points a game, he got bumped out. Facts. But because Kyrie Irving is making a ton of cash, and he can dribble the ball really fancy, mind you, 0 MVP awards. Every team he has left has gotten almost better. We're making sacrifices for this one guy. It's not fair. And I think Kevin Durant was very insensitive in what he said. Which brings me to more insensitiveness. And we're going to wrap it up here. It's uncomfortable, people. The NFL and Deshaun Watson are finding themselves in a unique situation. Deshaun Watson had not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but he was only person. This is not a stat you want to be affiliated with. The only person that led him in alleged sexual assault rape allegations was Bill Cosby. And he's in Babe Ruth category as far as you ain't trying to break that record at 50. Deshaun Watson's at 22. Now, yes, no criminal charges were filed against him, but there's still, where there's smoke, somebody's burning some chicken. And the fact that now that the criminal charges have been dismissed and teams in the NFL are salivating to go after Deshaun Watson, what are you saying to people in the country? Forget just women, just people in the country. Hey, if you win a national championship and you almost beat Patrick Mahomes, hey, I'm just saying, we'll find work for you. Is it possible Deshaun Watson wanted to get out of Houston, not because his team sucked, but maybe because he knew this was coming down the gate? Listen, I have no proof of that, but all I'm saying is it possible he was like, I want to get traded. Well, why you want to get traded? I need to get out of Houston. Why you want to get out of Houston? Let's just say I hired some professional masseurs and I tried to slip them a 5 and they didn't give me an old tongue and rub. So, yeah. I'm just saying he don't deserve to play. All I'm saying is these teams are just going for him. Like, the man needs to, let's pull back and let's give it a little bit of time, all right? You got a quarterback out there that's been waiting to play for a long time, and all he did was take a stinking knee, and you would have thought he slashed and killed. You would have thought he tried to double what OJ did. Michael Vick, prison, got to play. Funny. Ray Lewis, on trial for murder. Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl winner, MVP. Funny. Colin Kaepernick, took a knee. Social injustice. Police are killing black people. Everybody recognized it. Somehow, some way it got twisted that he was assaulting our military. Find that crazy. They live in a different reality. And we watch and we accept it. While if these things happen to us, if I went to work tomorrow and HR came and was like, hey, there's like 22 cases of, alleged something, I can promise you another place that's affiliated with what I do doesn't just go, nobody really said anything, so we kind of want him. I mean, granted, yes, I'm a commodity, but that's to be fair. Any case, yes, we should expect more from our sports leagues and our sports figures. And if we're expected to do and abide by the laws of man, so should they. I digress. Hey, this is Downright Sports. We'll be back with more. Listen to the show on all platforms and everywhere. I went on too long. That's why I'm not going to do any spill. I'll do the spill in the next segment. Because when we come back, we're going to talk baseball. And I can't wait. I'm doing a whole baseball show next week. So if you're bored already, sucks to be you. And then we're going to throw on earlier. We played a track from my man, High Ed. Go check him out on SoundCloud at High Ed. Great young man. I had the privilege and the honor of coaching, so go check him out. And then right now we're gonna throw in some "Line It Up" by the one, the only DJ Chase. I stole that from him. Downright Sports. YouTube got some March Madness on. My thing has been like a second too fast. Oh shoot. Oh, there we go. It was like a delay or something. I don't know what was going on. All right, YouTube. I'm going to devote some time to you. I'm going to have to change this hoodie because it got hot. It got hot. Oh man. So YouTube, you already got one team in. Make it back to Facebook. We got one team in Texas Southern. Seem to win. Now you got Indiana and Wyoming 4-3. It's a sloppy game. I thought Indiana might have a chance, but I don't think these guys is ready. It's actually curious because Mike Woodson, I forgot he got hired there. College basketball, like college football, you can get invested in college football. You can't get invested in college basketball because nobody stays. And they fire coaches just way too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, players stay for a year. How do you get used to somebody that's there for only a year? You know, the coaches, there's no more Coach K's. There no, you know, there going to be no more, what's his name? Jim Boeheim's there. You know, like, I just remember Jim Calhoun, who coached UConn. How great was he? And, like, we don't even have a Jim Calhoun anymore. Like, I don't know. It's you would like to see, you know, more stability in the college ranks, but it's just not there right now, man. It's a little disheartening. Commercials have gotten bad, like really bad. Like I don't even know if this commercial is about right now. I wish I could show you what the commercial was. Oh, Taco Bell. These frying commercials. He's the best. So you gotta try to get people to watch. If not, ain't nobody watching. You know what I'm saying? Oh well. It sucks when you're taking a quote unquote break, and I would try to talk to you guys about the game, but I actually feel time, but saving it for the damn show. I think so. If you care, or you happen to watch this next week, I will be doing a baseball preview show now that the season's back. So. Have some fun with that. That one's gonna take some work. glasses don't want to come up. All right, so baseball last week they came to a decision. Baseball and the players, baseball and the players. I said that correctly. Made a decision, and they're going to resume. We start April 7th. Realistically, no games will be missed. They're going to play all 62, and that's good. I think the lockout and millionaires and billionaires, and when today gas is like $5, $6 in California, ain't nobody trying to hear you whine. Like, you guys ain't going hungry. You know what I'm saying? So I think common people, where football did it is different. Football people desire football. People crave football. Football is the bus that drives everything. If you own a sports network, you know what I'm saying, you'll be insane not to want to carry the NFL. Baseball is an older sport in the sense of its fans. I'm 36 this June. I love baseball. I love it. I will watch any baseball game anytime. When the pandemic happened and those sports was going on, I think I watched more classic baseball games than I did regular season NBA games that were, of today. And that's just because the game of baseball is not designed the way basketball and football and even soccer, or football. If you take golf out of the equation, but if you think of tennis, if you think of, if you think of tennis, if you think in the case of basketball, if you think in the case of football, if you think in the case of soccer, heck, if you think in the case of hockey, you have to be some of the world's greatest athletes to play those sports. Those sports, you can't be a guy off the street and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm just gonna pick up basketball today. Let me paint a picture. Jose Altuve, who's like 5'5", is an MVP in baseball. He's one of the best hitters. He hits for power. He hits for average. And he stands toe-to-toe with a guy like Aaron Judge, who's 6'9", 6'8", something like that, twice the guy's weight. And the two play on the same field. Like, that can happen. That doesn't happen in those other sports. In football, if you're in any position, unless you're a running back or a kicker, you smaller than like 5'10", they looking at you sideways. You know what I mean? In hockey, if you don't have the ability to skate, stop, hit the puck at 100 miles an hour, like those guys, it's just a different skill set. Soccer, you gotta be in tip-top shape to play soccer. You think basketball's non-stop, soccer, they just move. And in the case of baseball, you have a sport where realistically, those guys are in shape. They're in better shape than all of, the common man. As someone who has played baseball, it kind of is a game you can roll out of bed and play, long as you're, somewhat with it. And the fact that the game's historians love the game. But the problem with baseball is they never passed it to a younger generation from the standpoint of reporters, the standpoint of historians, the standpoint of people calling the game. As we all love Vince Scully. Vince Scully was like 90 something years old before he stepped down. You know how many baseball announcers are in that demographic like that, where guys have been calling the game? Guys have seen literally all the greats play. And when has the game transitioned and shifted? When has a color commentary been something other than a white guy? You know, like, we're starting to see it a little bit here and there, but the game, like a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, ESPN tried to help baseball out. They try to embrace like this hip hop thing. Every game, like, they try to have like a little hip hop theme to it. And the biggest issue I saw was that was cool, but the guys, after like you would play a montage or a video intro where it was like the latest hip hop song playing, immediately after that you had 4 old white guys sitting in front of your screen talking about a great game. Now, what they were saying made a ton of sense. I enjoyed watching them, but if a young kid is like, "Oh snap, that's the latest," what rapper's name just sound? That's the latest Young Money Gun Grip over the top my G. That's somebody's name probably. If that happened, like if some kid was like, "Oh, that's his latest song," and then immediately after that, like the oldest dude he's ever seen was on the screen, like, "Oh, that's misleading." So baseball, outside of fixing its on the field play, has to rebrand its image. Like, they have young great players. It's time. The big MLB almost needs to steal like the WWE's mentality, not AEW's mentality, but the WWE's mentality. WWE, anything less than 10 years, like, you gotta go to the network for them to recognize. So before I jump into some of the baseball stuff, think about, if you watch the WWE, watch when they do like their montages or their video packages. Elimination Chamber's been around over 20 years. They don't show the original Elimination Chamber or in any of their, like, when they're going into that pay-per-view, like when they show like the history of the chamber, the furthest back they go is like AJ Styles. And that's halfway because most of that roster's in AEW, but they don't go back, they don't address it. Royal Rumble, they don't show old Royal Rumbles in their video package. They show as far back as like 10 years, 15. They don't go back to, and when they do show, like when somebody like Edge or somebody won, they just show like a clip. They don't like a 2-second clip of like Edge winning. They don't even show the whole thing. So that's because the WWE's like, we're trying to keep current. We know people's attention spans. NFL does the same thing. The same thing. NFL honors its history, but they really don't. Like, go watch the NFL Network. It's rare you'll see them throw on a game from like 1985. It's rare. It's a lot of games of today. So baseball, great sport. I love the sport. I wish it never changes. Honestly, I wish it wouldn't. But for it to survive, they gotta find something. They gotta find a way to make it sexy again. Granted, that's a conversation for a different day. Just know, in high school, it doesn't stand a chance because every kid that's athletic, they take away from baseball. Because the kids got to play AAU travel basketball or football 2-a-days. Kids just can't be kids. Like, when I was growing up, the people before me, you played every sport. If you were the best athlete in the school, you were a varsity athlete in every sport. It's not like today where, like, every parent thinks their kid is going into the league. Like, you know how many parents have devoted and give me a second. If you're a parent and you're watching this and you pay for your kid to play AAU basketball, what's wrong with you? There is what they call free school sports. The sports at the school is free. Let the kid play there. And then when the season's over, move them on. It's too much. That's why everybody gets hurt. Or you got Anthony Davis, who's like a walking ace bandage. It's too much. It's too much. Let them be a kid. Let them figure out what they want to play. Sometimes, anyway, baseball made some changes. They're banning the shift. I think that doesn't take effect until 2023. It needs to take effect now. It's the biggest change on it. We're going to come back to the shift. Universal DH. I hate it. Can't stand it. I think now you really have destroyed the game. The DH came into baseball in 1975, and the American League adopted the DH rule. It made the National League was always supposed to be the league of tradition. Now, give you a fun fact here. Baseball, the what we know as Major League Baseball was founded, I think, like 1888. But originally, it was just the National League. The American League was its own league, thus National American League. They merged and made one. Funny enough, the National League was the traditional league. And when the American League, because there used to be two league commissioners, there was a league president, if I'm not mistaken. So there was a commissioner that oversaw the whole thing, and there was a National League president and American League president. There were National and American League umpires. Like, that's how it was. And I kind of hate the fact that they went to like one group of umpires, which is okay. And now you got, everybody's got the same rules. That's why they got 15 on one team, 15 on the other, because it wasn't like that before. It was lopsided. The National League had more teams than the American League. But it made it kind of cool because it was unique in that way. But there's a DH. It's going to open up more jobs, which is cool. So aging players will get paid more now because they can go to the National League and DH. It's going to be interesting, but they pretty much have eliminated the bunt. They have pitch clock. It's crazy. Baseball is not a long game. It's commercials that make baseball long. If you want to know, I think baseball should be the one sport on TV. Like, do what soccer does. Soccer don't go to commercial until the halftime or whatever they call it, break or something like that. If you watch a soccer match, I don't have any of my co-hosts here today. If you watch a soccer match or whatever, they don't go to commercial until the first half is over and the second half. Baseball should do that, and the game will go by faster. I promise you. And it actually be kind of cool when you see them do the changeover, going from teams changing. It would be kind of neat because now the announcers could do what their job is in baseball, and that's tell a story. Baseball has enough downtime where you can tell a story, and that's what makes the game unique. It's 162 games. You can't rush through 162 games. Everything can't be football. Football is 18 games, and then even then, eventually, people will start saying football's too long, too many games, because I think that's kind of overkill. NBA, 82 games. Everybody says that season's too long. Baseball kills your summer, just takes up the bulk of the summer, and you forget summer's even here. That's the design of the game, that's the message of the game. Also, larger bases, which I guess is okay. Now, the fact that they're getting rid of the shift means they realize it was always dumb to begin with. It was illegal, it was unfair, and it wasn't right. How do you put the entire team on one side of the field like that? That's just cheating. Oh, wait, I'm talking about baseball. That's what they do. I'll move on. Next week, we're doing a baseball preview show. We're going baseball, something, base. I don't really know that song. It's a good song. We're going to talk baseball. Key free agents still out there. Anthony Rizzo, Freddie Freeman, Carlos Correa, Chris Bryant, Trevor Story, Nick Castellano. So some key guys out there. Yankees, I don't understand why you ain't calling them. Last thing I just saw was, I think, Freddie Freeman may be heading to Canada. Toronto's apparently interested in him. I think you'll see, but whoever signs Freddie Freeman and Carlos Correa, they're looking to get Pizzade, and I think whichever one gets signed first, that's how we're going to see that fall. So Atlanta apparently Freddie Freeman must be not going back to Atlanta. But give me a second on that. Freddie Freeman needs to go back to Atlanta. I think he'd be great in the Yankees uniform. He'd probably look great in the Yankees uniform. But Freddie Freeman needs to go back to Atlanta. You just won the World Series. You don't owe him anything, but think about what your career could become. Learn from our Pujols, who left St. Louis after winning the World Series and went into the land of irrelevancy. Went to the land of nobody knows you even in the league because he basically went to LA, took a cash grab, and played for a sorry team. Go back to where you're comfortable, bruh. play who you know. Hey, this is Downright Sports. Downright Sports. We're going to do the news, and we're throwing, during the news, you will hear DJ Trace track by various artists. If you're listening on the podcast, or if you're listening on the podcast and you're listening on Trap Radio, and now at Fab 94.5, the hits. If you're listening there, you won't hear the news because it's Saturday and it'll be boring about it. So you'll hear music. Yeah. Yes, you will. Any case, I'm gonna take a small break, except for here on YouTube where me and no one is watching. And we're gonna come back and we'll be the news, and then we'll wrap it up talking about the man, Scott Hall. Ooh, 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 boo, 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 boo. Let's get into it. It is the news. Let me catch you up on some of the big news things I think I care about. I should coin that. All right, starting with Steve Nash is hopeful Ben Simmons can play before the end of the season. Why? I don't even know how Steve Nash has a job. Like, either should quit or should be fired, quite frankly. We'll talk about that in a second. But Ben Simmons has not played this year because his feelings was hurt. The Michigan Wolverines are the first Power 5 football program in Division I to hire the first ever women's grad assistant. Mia Bolden Morris is now going to work on the team as a grad assistant. That is a big, big, big news. It should be everywhere. That is exciting. That, kids, is true change. That's what we're looking for. Side note, I once played basketball and baseball. My assistant coach was a woman, Dr. Gunn. And guess what? She was also my head coach, Dr. Gunn. Well, kind of. But Dr. Gunn, knowledgeable, new to game, new plays, one of the smartest people. All of us learned something. Some of us learned how to play golf because of Dr. Gunn. So just because she's a woman doesn't mean she don't know what she's talking about in the world of sports. So think differently, okay? Think differently. And now, to talk NBA playoff race. Space goes. I'm stupid. All right, so the NBA standings are as such. Starting with the West Sea. All right, Phoenix has clinched the playoff berth. They are the number one seed. They're the number one team currently right now. Phoenix is 7.5 games ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors, which leads me to Memphis number 2, Golden State number 3, Utah Jazz 12 games back at number 4, the Dallas Mavericks 12 games back at number 5, the Denver Nuggets finish up the top 6, 13.5 games back. Now, the last 7 through 10, Minnesota, Clippers, Lakers at 29-39, the New Orleans Pelicans 28-40, and then the bottom of the list, you have the Portland Trailblazers, the San Antonio Spurs, the Sacramento Kings, Oklahoma City Thunder, and that team out of Houston. Now for the East, number 1 through 6, the Miami Heat, 2 games ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks. The 76ers at number 3, 3 games behind the Miami Heat. The Chicago Bulls, 3.5 back. The Boston Celtics, 4 games back. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, 5.5 back. You couldn't have told anybody 4 years after LeBron left that the Cavs would have a better record than the Lakers. Moving on, 7 through 10, the Toronto Raptors, the number 7 seed, number 8, the Brooklyn Nets. The Atlanta Hawks are 9, and Charlotte Hornets round things out at number 10. Washington, Knicks, Indiana, and Detroit, and Miami. That's the order 11 through 15. The Knicks are 16.5 back. The Knicks are currently right now not going to make it as they're 28-40, and they're not catching anybody. Maybe some sleep. All right, if the playoffs started today, the seeding would go as such. You would see in the play-in game, Lakers versus the Pelicans, Minnesota versus the Clippers, the Hawks versus, in the East Coast, you would get Atlanta versus the Hornets. Great game, in my opinion. And then you would get Toronto versus Brooklyn, which they will be playing in Toronto. And if they get home court advantage, Kyrie can't play. And if they play in Toronto, Kyrie can't play. So back to my original argument earlier, if they lose that game, that's his fault. All right? That's the playing games currently right now. The MVP race, according to me, and I'll go by there, Joel Embiid leads the way, 29 points a game. He's got his team in 3rd place. In the East, he also has 11 rebounds a game. LeBron James, the man dropped 54. 54. His team sucked, but he don't. Nokia Jolovic, 26 points a game, 13 rebounds, 6 seed. Don't know how he's going to be the MVP. The true MVP should either be LeBron, Embiid, or Jay Morant, who is 27 points a game, 6 assists, and has his team number 2. That team didn't even make the playoffs last year. How's John Morant not your MVP? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the news. This is Downright Sports. When we come back, we pay tribute, we pay honor to Razor Ramon, man. All right, we are back to wrap things up. We're wrapping things up. So, little heads up. So, your boy, the Notorious Sports Critic, is actually going to be doing Downright Sports for the first time ever from location. The first time ever doing the radio/podcast. And so, I think over the summer, because it's dead air over the summer, I'm actually going to probably do a show, like a little behind the scenes a little bit, and something, talk about the history of the show. But May 21st, we will actually be in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the William Bradley Sports Performance. Performance. I guess that's the name of the place. It's Hip Hop and Hoops, the Hip Hop and Hoops Conference. And we will be there. The show will be there. To get more information, go to Hoops and Hip Hop at eventsbits.com. EVNTBRITE.com. I will be there. I will have some friends with me. Hopefully, knock on wood, you're going to hear some really cool guys that'll be with me. We're going to have some fun. Hopefully, we get to talk to some of the players because it will be a tournament. Hopefully we get to talk to some players, talk some hip-hop, talk some sports. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm happy for the opportunity. So May 21st, Greensboro, North Carolina. The show won't be, I don't know if I'm going to do the show live. I'll see. I want to see how it's going to, like, what the vibe is, because I got to make sure I got enough room to put the tripod up. If not, it will be some type of recording, and we'll just, you'll hear it. So that show will be on a Saturday. We'll probably air it. We'll probably air it that week or any other networks, which would be cool. It'll be really cool, and then hope, we'll just lock some stuff up. It's one day, so, well, that'd be cool. Also, starting Saturday, I believe, I haven't got more confirmation, Downright Sports is joining a new home. Saturdays at 8 o'clock in the morning. Fab 94.5, the hits. I repeat, Downright Sports is now at Fab 94.5, the hits. And that's going to be Saturday. So, if you're listening, just stop. I don't know what just happened. Hold on. Stuff just kept going. I don't know. The front door? Yeah, the recording just stopped. That is cool. So if you're listening, something happened and like the recording just stopped. So I wasn't recording, I wasn't saying anything. So it's the first time actually I'm addressing a technical failure on the show. So as I was saying, Saturday, 8 o'clock, Downright Sports is now on Fab 94.5, the hits. You can listen at Fab 94.5. No, excuse me, back up. You can listen to it. Downright Sports at Fab 94.5, the hits with a Z.com. You go there and listen to the show. And I'm happy. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy for all opportunities. So, this past weekend, if you're a wrestling fan, you got news that Scott Hall, one of the best ever, was on life support. He had surgery, there were complications. And that was it. And then Kevin Nash let out a tweet that was like, wow, bro, you just... As those guys like to do, they like to pull the curtain back. And he basically was like, we're waiting for friends and family, and then they're going to let Scott, go, rest in peace. And we all, fans, were sitting around waiting, or, Twitter or whatever. And there was word that when they took him off the machines, he started breathing on his own and was like, whoa, is Scott going to kick out? And, in a talk of wrestling for him, like, Scott may kick out. And then Raw started, and I was sitting with Allie. I never watched wrestling with her because I don't want to bore her. But I was like, oh, no. And she was like, what? And she knew. She was like, oh, he passed. And I was like, what you know about Scott Hall? And even at her job, they were talking about Scott Hall. Scott Hall, to me, showed up on, like, in my existence when I was 10, I think, and I was watching WCW. When I lived in Yonkers, I stopped watching wrestling, because I watched wrestling when I was like 4 or 5 with my babysitter, and I watched the whole Hulk Hogan era in the 90s, and then after like that, we didn't have cable, so I just didn't watch wrestling. Then we moved to Yonkers, and we got cable, and I started watching WCW, Monday Nitro, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then this guy came out the crowd, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I remember seeing this guy say, yo, this is the coolest dude ever. And I was like, wait, he looks familiar. And then he hits the, you know who I am, and you know why I'm here. I've been playing Scott Hall all show. And I was like, and from then on, like, he wasn't my favorite wrestler. My favorite wrestler was always Bret Hart, The Rock, I don't have any. I like Randy Orton. There's nobody really. I liked EC3 when he was in Impact, but I like Adam Cole. Anyway, Scott Hall always seemed like the coolest dude. Scott Hall was so cool and so over, as they say. He didn't have to become world heavyweight champion. Like, that's what made Scott Hall the man. Like, Scott Hall didn't have to wear the championship. He was an Intercontinental champion, a TV champion in WCW, tag team champion in WCW. It seemed like him and Kevin Nash was perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were the coolest dudes in the room. Like, if you could have told me, if you walked up to me and said, yo, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, you guys actually, you guys are just cool. Like, I could believe, like, whatever you said, because those guys were just literally the coolest dudes in the room. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, X-Pac, if you will. Like, Shawn Michaels early on. You know, I wasn't the biggest Shawn fan, but Scott and Kevin, like that whole NWO run, like who didn't want to be in the NWO? Like I did it when I was a kid because I was like, you know, I rooted for the good guy. But I got older, I was like, yo, who don't want to too sweet? You know, I didn't ever know him. You know, you hear documentaries, and he had a rough go out of it with like drugs and alcohol and mainly like pain medication because the guy was a wrestler for years, and they take a lot of bumps and they take a lot of beatings, and we were watching a match, and Holly said, "Oh, you can see where she didn't really grab her hair, but then she wrapped Becky Lynch wrapped the chair around Bianca Belair's neck and threw her into the ring post." And you're watching and she's like, "Oh my God, like how do they do this without getting hurt?" But that's the whole thing. Like it's some of the most athletic. They're the most athletic stuntmen and women you could ever ask for, and they you know, if you think David Blaine is the best illusionist, no, Vince McMahon is. Trust me. So Scott Hall will be missed. You know, I was on Twitter all night and people just were reaching out because Scott Hall you couldn't dislike Scott Hall. You know what I mean? Like even when he was like his nickname was the bad guy. Like Razor Ramon was supposed to be the bad guy. He was the coolest dude. Scott Hall was supposed to be a bad guy. Like, he showed up in WCW. He's like, yo, we taking over. We gonna put you people out of work. And it was like, yeah, that guy is awesome. And he would hit you with the toothpick. My boy Mike Miff, who has done music on this show, he, you know, saw a Scott Hall documentary like many years ago. Was like, oh, that's my spirit animal. So, you know, if you go to our TikTok page, there's actually a video with me, Mike Miff, and Uncle Buddha, or Tim Woodson, who does the theme of the show, which I didn't air today. But we basically were paying tribute to that interview because that's how we, you know, we don't call ourselves that, but we, you know, we're the old dudes. You know, we were young and we thought we were cool. Now we're the old guys, and you know, we just get together once in a lifetime. You know, when Monday Night Raw has a 5th anniversary, we show up, and even though our high school doesn't call us for anything, my school is come to high school, like forget you guys. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching, from whoever did. If you watch later, thank you. But thanks for tuning in to Downright Sports. A lot of fun. Back next week. Baseball. Preview. Show. All right. I haven't decided if we're going to do March Madness Sunday recap every Sunday leading to the championship. That's a lot of work, but I might. So that may be a quick, like, 15-minute. I can do that. I can do 15 minutes to say who won, who lost, and how. The bracket show wasn't supposed to be as long as it was, but Tom Brady announced he was coming out of retirement, pretty much destroyed that. So here's how you can absorb the show, brother. Listen on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, Radio Public, Anchor, Stitcher, everywhere Downright Sports is. You can also hear the show. Where's my script? You can also hear the show Wednesdays, all new episodes, live365.com/DJ Chase Radio. You can also listen to the show 8 o'clock on its original home, DynastyRadioNY.com, the number one source for hip-hop and R&B, except for on Thursdays, when it's showtime. And then you can listen to the show now, Saturdays at 8 o'clock on Fab 94.5 The Hits with a Z. Go to Fab 94.5 The Hits with a Z.com and you can listen to the show there. And then you can listen to the show Saturday at 3 p.m. on Trap Radar Radio at FleetRadioNetwork.com. You can also you can also check out the show and follow us at all major social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and follow me at you can follow us at all major social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and follow me at Twitter at BrentReid18. Email the show at downrightsports11@gmail.com. And you can also subscribe here on YouTube at Downright Sports. So thank you. I'm gonna pre-record all that tomorrow. All that's here pre-recorded. I'm tired of saying it. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. Be safe, be smart, and pray for Ukraine. Deuces. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I could swear to you, but